Andrea, and in this video I will be taking a used beat up bowling pin and turning it into a turtle bowling pin. I have a special request from a turtle collector to make a custom turtle bowling pin. So this should be very interesting. It's also a really cool time of year for this kind of request because it's turtle season where I live, and I live on a pond. So it's June right now, and all of the turtles come out of the water and they lay their eggs in the hot sun. At any given moment, when I look outside, I can see maybe 5 or 6 turtles actually laying eggs in the yard, and that's for the whole month of June. So this is actually the perfect time of year for this kind of request. I'm very intrigued as to how this is going to come out. So I'm going to get started. So for this particular project, I am not going to prime my pin as the first step. I will do it later. It's just that I'm going to use this giant hunk of clay in order to try to create the turtle shell and the legs, and I really just want to fit it to the pin first before I put anything on it. So first step, I have this 10-pound bag of clay. Should be interesting. It's air dry clay, and I've never actually used this brand before, but it looks like it's pretty good. So, ooh, it's hard. Big, huge hunk of clay. That's kind of tricky to work with so far. Can get some small pieces off and start making the legs. This is the smaller bottom leg. It will just like stick out on the end. It's kind of like this. Try to get a giant hunk for the shell. So I have this large hunk of clay here and starting to form the shell. It's very messy. It's fun though. I'm gonna mold it right to fit on this pin. When it dries, the shape will change a little bit, but I think it should be just fine in order to like attach it later. I could probably just paint the pin like a turtle, but I think it's going to look a lot more realistic or just more like a turtle if I add some details with the clay. Give it a little bit of bulk. Give it that nice turtle shell. You may be able to make it too so that it can both lay down like this and then also be standing up, so you can display it either way. So we'll see how that comes out. Hopefully it'll work both ways. Just smoothing it all out. Making sure the whole shell is even, no big lumps anywhere, just kind of an even layer of clay. Starting to get a little bit better shape there. That's it. Not quite done there, but I feel like starting to work on the legs a little bit more. So I have my small leg for the bottom. I'm gonna make some slightly larger legs for the top. So I'm gonna lay this here for now. So this area has become quite the mess, but I finally got the turtle shell into a shape that I am happy with. And here are the legs. So these are the larger ones that will go at the top, and then the 2 smaller ones at the bottom. They'll stick out kind of like that. I'm just going to add some detail to the turtle shell. I'm going to start with like a ridge around the edge. Can use a clay tool. I sometimes like to just use a toothpick, honestly. It works just as well for me. So I'm just going to make kind of like a layer around the edge, trying to get it even as possible. Get rid of that excess clay that forms in the lines. The good news is if I make a mistake, I can always just smooth it over and start again. Okay. And I'm gonna make a little pattern on here that will dry with a little pattern to paint as like a guideline. Let's get rid of that excess clay that's building up. Something I don't like up here. Just gonna redo these lines because I don't love them. Don't love that line either, oh well. Luckily the clay is very forgiving when it's not dry. Okay, you can kind of see some detail starting to form. Add some little lines to this edge here. And smooth over any of the rough spots. There it is. See the shell starting to form. Now because this is thick, it is going to take quite some time to dry. It'll definitely take a few days to dry, at least 3 to 4 days probably before it's ready to do anything with, to add the paint or to add the primer. I am actually just gonna leave it right here and come back to it in a few days. So at this point, the clay has had a good week to dry and harden. It was stuck to the pin initially, it kind of formed the shape of the pin. However, over time it just loosens up and kind of pops off. So here it is, it's all ready to go. And here are the turtle legs. I went ahead and cleaned all the excess clay off of the pin, and I already put a coat of white Rust-Oleum primer on the pin. It's had plenty of time to dry, so ready to start the next step, which is to add some acrylic green paint to the pin. I have here a bunch of different shades of acrylic green. I think I'm just going to start with this kind of bright green one in the middle. I'll just do like one coat, and then I'm gonna kind of make it all mixed colors from here. So let's just get a coat on this pin, this green. It will definitely need several coats. There's one thin coat. We'll just give that a few minutes to dry and then add another coat. Now I'll get started on the clay pieces. The clay pieces, I'll probably just put one coat on first, and then it's going to involve a lot of mixing to get different kind of colors to show through. So I'm going to go with a little bit of a darker green acrylic on this. Just to get a coat on here would be good. Then I'll add the detail in later. I'm not going to worry too much about the little cracks because I want to paint those kind of an accent yellow, so I will be filling them in with yellow, so I'm not too concerned if they're not completely filled in at this point. Just going to put the same color coat on these legs. Maybe I'll mix up a few different greens, what the heck. It's going to be sort of multicolored, so I'm just going to have fun mixing them a little bit. Okay, so just a very thin basic coat to get some color on everything, and this will just need a little bit of time to dry, and then a few more coats, and then able to put the details on it, which will be interesting. So at this point, I've added several coats of green to both the pin and the shell to get a nice green base coat, and I have here several different colors of green and some black and some yellow. So I'm going to do a little bit of texturing to the pin to give it some, just a textured kind of interesting look. We'll start with that. I kind of made a mess of this light green here, but that's okay, it's art. We can be messy and have fun with it. So I'm just going to start dabbing some different colors on. A little black in there. It's okay, it won't really be too black in there. It'll kind of soften up a bit with the different greens. Just using like a kind of medium flattish brush to do a little bit of texture here. It's okay if I have kind of a lot of paint on the brush. It kind of gives it a 3D textured look, which is pretty neat. So I went through and textured most of the pin, just finishing up the upper part, which is always the last part to do. Added some little tiny hints of yellow and black. There's really no right or wrong way to do this, so that's what's fun about it. I have here the legs as well, and I'm going to texture those legs as also. I'll need to turn the legs over to finish texturing them once this side dries up. Black in there. A little hint. Okay, moving on to the shell, I'll give this some time to dry. So while the pin and the legs dry, I'm moving on to the turtle shell. I want to make this edge a little bit darker than the middle is going to be, and then I'm going to outline this with yellow. So I'm just going to take the same paint and mix a little bit of black with a little bit of the darker green color. Probably more of the darker green color, actually. Get a really nice dark green here. Around this edge here, so it's slightly darker than the rest. Okay, that's pretty good. Now I'm going to do a little bit of mixing to kind of make a little bit of contoured shadows on the shell in the middle. Let's see, do some light, some medium, a little bit of dark. A little darker. It would look cool if it kind of like is slightly different in the middle. I think I made that a little too bright. You can fix that up. I think it looks neat if each little square is a little bit different color than the other ones. It adds a little bit more interest. Okay, just gonna let that dry. Now the turtle shell is now nice and dry, so I'm just going to take this teeny tiny little paintbrush and do a yellow kind of outline of the indents of this shell. And it will probably need a few coats of yellow. Just adding the finishing touches to this outline. I did go over it several times and I found an even smaller paintbrush to use for the details. So this is time to dry and it's time to add a turtle face. So I'm going to have the turtle kind of facing this way because the shell is going to go here. And then it can stand up. It'll be able to stand up like this afterwards as well. That is what it's going to look like. But for now, I'm going to just paint some eyes and the mouth and little turtle nose on here. Start with some black. My teeny tiny paintbrush. Just a thin black line for the mouth. I'm gonna curve it in a little bit, give it a little turtle smile. Yeah, happy turtle, sort of. Could be happy, could be a little ornery too. Not quite sure yet. So everything's nice and dry at this point, and I did go ahead and glue on the shell and the turtle legs. So it's time to just add the sealant, which is going to give it a nice shine. This is just the Mod Podge sealant. It's going to make this turtle so nice and shiny. It always looks sort of white and streaky, but it will shine nice and glossy. Here he is, the finished turtle. Thank you for joining me for this turtle bowling pin making challenge. I hope you enjoyed this video. He's quite the vibrant turtle. If there's anything you would like to see me create on a bowling pin in the future, please let me know in the comment section below. I do have a request for a butterfly, so that will be coming up soon. Also, don't forget to hit like and subscribe to follow me for more artistic adventures, challenges, and bowling pin creations. Thank you. Bye-bye.